Okay, hey, sorry about that, everyone. We had a lot of technical difficulties on our side. Nothing wanted to work. Apologies for that. But hey, this is our first show. What would a first show be without technical difficulties? But I want to say, what's up and welcome to Champions of Lore, a show all about the kick-ass stories behind some of Idle Champion's coolest campaigns and characters. Every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on twitch.tv/cngames, or later on your favorite podcast service, Dave Walters and Erin M. Evans talk about all the Idle Champions lore you need to know about. If you're here in the chat, you can leave a question that I, Treavor Bettis, will ask them later in the show. But until then, Erin, Dave, take it away.
Hey, y'all. Sorry for the delay. Completely my fault. Erin, would you like to introduce yourself to the beautiful people of the interwebs?
Sure. Hi, I'm Erin M. Evans. I am the author of the Brimstone Angels Saga, a 6-book series set in the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah,
what you're doing. I also play Cecilia on Dungeon Scrawlers, an actual play also set in Forgotten Realms, Wednesdays at 6:30 Pacific p.m. There we go. Don't get up at 6:30 in the morning to watch me play D&D. It's not going to work.
I mean, or do, you know, like maybe they're in a far off place. And
that's true. I didn't mean to assume your time zone.
Right, check your time zone privilege, Erin. Dave Walters, I say words about things. I'm the writer and co-creator of Dungeons and Dragons: A Dark and Wish, the DM for the official stream. I play Freely, the lucky boy on Silver and Steel. And earlier when we were talking, I was like, my weird flex is the fact that Freely is in Idle Champions. And Erin is like, I wish I had a weird flex. And I was like, yeah, it's dope having a character. And she's like, well, I've got two. And I'm like, well, we found your weird flex, Erin. There it is. So since we're talking Idle Champions, who are your two characters that are in the game?
It is Farida and Havilar, who are the main characters of the Brimstone Angel Saga. They are the tiefling twins that I mentioned and didn't name because I'm so good at this.
You know, we're rolling with it. We're rolling with it. So, yeah, we did have a little bit of a technical snafu, and we are going to talk about some Idle Champion specific stuff today. We're going to talk about Liar's Night. We're going to talk about a name that I'm absolutely about to butcher. Y'all ready? Here we go.
Do it.
Ezmerelda D'avenir. That's it. Yeah. That's not my worst. I'm from Arkansas, y'all.
It sounded like better than earlier.
You say it with confidence, and everybody will go, "Oh,
yeah." Say it with your chest. Yeah, exactly. Like I've made that. But before we dive too terribly deeply into that, also hello, chat. Thank you for joining us, and of course, give us your questions. We would love to answer and talk about and nerd out the things you want to talk about. Since this is our first time doing this here together, I want to ask a more conceptual question before we dive into some of the specifics here, Erin.
All right.
You and I are lore nerds.
Yep.
But like, what even does lore mean to you? Like when somebody just says that word lore.
Yeah.
What is that for you relative to this?
I think when people talk about lore, it's the elements of the world that are sort of set up to be, I want to say immovable, but really everything's movable. When I think about lore, especially when I think about lore in relation to writing novels, it is the things that have come before, that are established, that you work off of, that you get inspired by. I love the aspect of it where you have these immovable pillars and you can't change them. And so what happens in between, right? So you the things you launch off of almost. And that can be small stuff, it can be big stuff, it can be the sort of gaps between things, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's funny because you're like, it's the stuff you can't move, even though both you and I move.
Oh, you can totally move it.
You're not supposed to.
You just have to come up with ways to move it that honor the rest of the setting, right?
Yeah. Well, it is a backdrop. For me, lore is context. You know,
I like that.
It is the history of things that have gone before, but you know that the Forgotten Realms is 50 years old now, so there's multi-level tiers. I think you and I talked about this too, but part of the reason why I set A Dark and Wish in the Moonshae Isles is I didn't want to be constrained by all of that. I didn't want to set a story in Waterdeep or Neverwinter or Baldur's Gate and have something happen. Well, one, I can't burn the city to the ground unless I have to like Or I describe some building, and immediately on the internet, people are like, well, actually, everyone knows that corner of the city is occupied by the Goblin Foundry. And I'm like, ugh.
I think
doorknob's
that
actually
makes it
green?
lore, because if somebody will actually you about it, that means it's lore.
Yes. Then you've arrived.
No, it does not. That is not what it means. You know, it's Chancellor. I'm like,
And she's like, okay, cool. What's your publishing contract look like?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she's just saying what I'm thinking. Yeah, right.
No, I agree. I think it's interesting because there's sort of two ways. Like, I wrote, my first novel is called The Godcatcher, and it is part of a series called Ed Greenwood Presents Waterdeep. And so for that, it was like, here's this document that is Waterdeep, and here's all this, here's the map, and here's all the locations, and you need to pick a location, and here are a bunch of NPCs. And there's something about that. It's almost like when you write poetry, and you write poetry with a constrained form. So it's almost, like a haiku or something like a pantoum, where it's like you have to hit these notes and you have to fit into this shape. And so if you have that constraint, there's still a lot you can do, and having that constraint, you can bounce off of it. But on the flip side, like, you do something like that, you find a place where you can kind of spread out, and you can do something, bigger and more. I saw a tweet recently where someone said, I love that Erin M. Evans created Dragonborn culture just because she could. And it's like, yes, that is exactly it. You find the place where you can kind of spread out and put in cool details. So you have both options. Like, even if you're talking about like a home game, right? Bouncing off of things can give you more creative energy, or it can make you feel trapped. And so finding where you fit best, like, you can use that lore in different ways.
Yeah, well, I mean, dare I say, in many ways, constraint breeds creativity, where you're like, I have to do it like this. I will say, though, part of I think another one of the value of lore is it helps bring an internally consistent experience to mind for all of us, because every table's different and every game is different. Because a couple years back, when we did the Stream of Many Eyes, and they built Waterdeep, and I walked into Waterdeep, and I was in freaking Waterdeep. And then we did the off the table thing, the live action stuff, and I'm walking around, and it was like LARP, and Ed Greenwood is there dressed as Elminster, and I walk up to him, and he turns around and says, "Elminster of Shadowdale, well met."
That's a good Ed.
If you watch the VOD, when he turns around and says that to me, I just stop for a second. And I mean, it's probably 2 seconds, but for me, it's like 8.5 minutes. I was like, so I'm in the yawning portal with Elminster. Okay, all right, okay.
But I think that's also what makes it good with Idle Champions, is because there is all of this lore. When you get into one of the adventures, and it's like, oh, you're walking around the docks of Waterdeep, or any of that stuff, that lore is what connects you there. If you didn't know the lore, it's just a dock, there's some rats and some bad guys, but because you know the lore behind it, that's Waterdeep, that's a big deal. I know that harbor, I've been to that harbor.
Well, not only is I know that harbor, I've been to that harbor, now I'm at that harbor with these heroes that I know and love. I was like, I'm here with my friends. I'm here with Freely. I'm here with Bran and Avran, and and all of them, and you build your squad, which is a dope thing. Also, you should have Freely in every lineup, because he's lucky and he makes everybody better. Just hashtag, the weird flex. So that being said, I'll tell you, Aaron, what would you like to talk about first? Would you like to talk about our new champion, or would you like to talk about Liar's Night first? Because
I definitely have more thoughts about Liar's Night. Mostly my Esmeralda thoughts are, she seems like such a badass.
That is also mostly my thoughts too, because I have not gotten a chance to play her yet.
No, I'm excited
for
to see
reference, listeners, there you go.
We seem to sort of started talking about Esmeralda. We could do her first and then do Liar's Night.
That's true. Now I already chewed on this poor woman's name. You tell me how you pronounce it.
I would have tried to say it Ezmerelda D'avenir, which is almost what you said. I think your surname was had a little more finesse.
See, but I feel like it sounds better when you say it. So that's it. But although
something between those two.
But part of her character is she doesn't bother learning people's names. She gives them all nicknames. So she's like,
we're just adding to the we'll call her
Dope Stabby Girl?
What's the nickname for Ezmerelda? I feel like there should be like a kind of, we'll call her Essie. It's fine. I'm sure that would go well. I'm sure she wouldn't kill us both.
Right.
Sorry, I got you killed by calling her Essie.
You know, but I will die as I've lived. I will die as I've lived. Yes, that's look at that. Look at that. That is us adding to the lore. As people like furiously scribbling, that is not at all. I was like, you can watch the wiki update while we're talking.
That is not canon.
We're like, here's what her name isn't. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, exactly. Do not.
Yeah, but she goes back to Curse Strahd in those adventures in Ravenloft as a monster hunter. Now, chat, we'll see. Chat, does anybody know canonically what her class was in the game? What she actually was? You don't necessarily have to like break it down by levels. A lot of times it didn't in the narrative stuff. Of course, it shouldn't. But you know, let us know if anybody gets her class right. I'm interested to see. What's that? Look at that. Y'all, I want you to know the reason why I just like stopped in my tracks there. We have a chat document where we're seeing things, and there's an Idle Champions code in like huge letters, and I was like, it's like Latin. I'm like, is this an incantation? Like, what is this? Are we?
Listen,
like,
I didn't click the right paste, okay?
I'm like, the mods are summoning something back here. Sorry. Do we have a giveaway, by the way? I don't know if we said out loud.
We do. Yeah, we for the listeners on the podcast, if you're listening this week, the code is SANSQUODDODS. So yeah, you can get that gold chest. Go do that. Have some fun.
Yeah, y'all, imagine if you just like clicked over and just saw that in like giant black letters here. I'm gonna.
You might think you're getting an invite to Among Us.
Oh no.
That's true. There you go. I'm gonna put this over here. Okay, boom. I don't know if it was it's up on the overlay. Look at that. It's almost like they thought of this. Weird.
Oh, clever.
Yeah, wild. But yes, Esmeralda is again originally from Ravenloft. I saw somebody in chat saying, I think I'm gonna give you about 5 more seconds. Although, do you have a guess, Aaron, or do you know? Let me not assume.
I don't actually know. And these are the kind. I feel like these are the kind of questions I stink at.
That's why there's 2 of us. Yeah. She is a fighter rogue wizard.
Oh, okay.
Fighter rogue wizard, which is honestly, that's like she was one of the original fighter mage thieves. Then, to tell you the truth, because that's how it went. You know, back in my day, back in AD&D 2nd edition, yeah, classes leveled at different rates, and if you had more than one, you had to split your XP between them. Yeah, wizards had 1d4 hit points and 1 spell. That was it. You had to live through that. It was difficult times back then. Didn't have it as easy as your kids do today. Yeah. Every word I just said is true, by the way.
They also gave it the free Werther's original.
Yes, Aaron?
I was going to say, does that influence your, because I know Freely is very multi-class. Are you like, yes, I'm doing all of them?
You know, okay, so, oh no, I broke everything. I've ruined everything. Hey. Chaos. Watch Trevor's face. That's a man dying in real time. This was me cursed by hubris as I was attempting to put my Freely backdrop back up again. Now, I don't know. I might be an Aaron spot. I'm not sure. I'm going to try. Here we go. This is my serious face. So the reason about is I've been fortunate enough that I get to play like a lot of D&D, and I'm to the point now that a lot of times it's I want characters to be something I haven't done before, which is getting to be a fairly short list. And when I made Freely originally, he was supposed to be a guest star for like 1 episode of Heroes of the Veil. Yeah. And we were still in the middle of LA by Night, where I play, Victor Temple, Undisputed Baron of the Valley. And when I made Freely, I wanted everything that Victor isn't. Victor's big because he's me. Freely's little, I usually don't play small folk. I don't like the small folk. I played him super as a lark, and he really has made his own luck. He's my first character in a video game. Like, became a series regular, went into a spinoff. Like, he literally has made his own luck. And I was experimenting with different builds, and I wanted a charisma-based character.
Mhm.
So that, Bard, Paladin, Warlock, Sorcerer, whatever. Let's go. I'll make it work. And it works. It works. And in the game, they in Idle Champions, they leaned into that luck thing. I wasn't kidding. That's his ability. Yeah. He makes everyone else like fight better because of his lucky presence, which I love. And he fires his like. If you watch when we did the reveal of the character and he would do his Eldritch Blast, every time he would smite, I'd like giggle like a little kid. He like leaps across the screen and like hits somebody, and I'm like.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a one.
Small sidebar, like that is one thing I really love about working with Idle Champions is that they care about the lore, right? So you say like, this is my character, and this is what like what I need, what Farida needs to be Farida, right? Mm-hmm. And they go, okay, and then they turn it into a game mechanic, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just Havilar and her imps. That's my favorite. So
and they asked me questions that I myself didn't know about. They were like, "Well, what's this? What's this?" And I was like, "His favorite ice cream is bubblegum." I don't know, but it really. Yeah. You're right. They had a huge commitment to making sure they brought this specific character to life in the game, and you can tell by all the things they've done. Like, again, the Avron's character who debuted is the last Liar's Night, I think, if not last, maybe the one before, I think last one. Avron's whole thing is he gets so much bigger than everyone else, and I'm like, and everyone else gets small, and I'm like, I know Todd well, I play with Avron a lot. That's that is definitely what he would do, and it is I think that is one of the most delightful aspects of the game, and then the tactical aspect of it, of like rearranging to have the proper complement of people and their abilities. It's all dope. Do you happen to know offhand what your two girls special abilities are?
Farida becomes the chosen of Asmodeus. So she like flames up, and then I can't remember what it means, what it does in game terms off the top of my head.
She does hit flamey. She does flamey violence.
Flamey violence, basically. But she also boosts people next to her. I think she boosts their defense. And then Havilar calls the imps, and then she can sacrifice them to do things. Because in the books, they both become sort of broken, not because they chose, chosen, not choose, is that there are these two imps that do things for her. But at the end of every book, one of them comic relief, but there's a new one, so Mott is in every book. I love the way they took that imps, except she basically, and it's
wild seeing like about so it's a fairly long process getting your character in the game. It's months. And we were way into character design when he lost his arm in the show. And I literally emailed Clive, and I was like, hey, so he sort of lost his arm and got a clockwork one. I don't know if he's going to get his real arm back or not. And they legit scrambled to like add in his clockwork arm. Nice. So he actually has it. I was very grateful to them for that. I was kind of like, cool. Don't freak out. He's been maimed and doesn't look like this at all anymore. Awesome. You said Asmodeus. It's funny because this is another one of those things you read but don't hear said out loud, because there was a real divinity that people actually worshipped. And well, I guess it's a demon lord. You're not supposed to worship him, but hey, who am I to judge? But he's in my story too, and it's another one of those things that you're like, is it Asmodeus or Asmodeus? Right. I personally like Asmodeus.
I do too. I feel like Asmodeus would be like, of course you're saying it right.
Right. Yeah.
You're saying it right, but also
players call him Azzy. Right.
Right.
I don't think
Or-
they're saying it right.
No, they're not. Or he would be like, would you like my help saying it correctly? You know? And then you're like, yeah,
Yep.
wait. And then it's,
Whoa, back it up.
too late. He got you. That's how he gets you. Yeah. So I think
You
we've
guys
talked.
should put Asmodeus in it so we can all talk about Asmodeus for an hour.
It's, add it to, you know what? Hey, next week, we don't have anything in that slot yet, like we can deep dive.
We
I was
both
about-
have our strong feelings about Asmodeus.
I was about to call him my sweet horny boy because of this, and then I'm like, wait, no, that's not call it again in the wiki. You can watch it; it's
There you
happening in
go.
front of you.
Gonna
You're like,
do
that's
it.
what he's not called. I
Oh.
mean, I don't know. Maybe he went to college. Who knows? Yes. But for now, today, having talked at least a little about Esmeralda,
Check.
Liar's Night.
Liar's Night.
Liar's
So
Night.
this is kind of a new holiday. It's
Mhm.
it's just appeared in Waterdeep Dragon Heist, right? And it's sort of a kind of a Halloween feeling. It's a holy day for Lyra and Mask, and you kind of put on costumes and masks, and you have a candle and a pumpkin that represents, I believe it represents like your soul. And as long as the candle is burning, you can do whatever you want and it doesn't stick. But if you let that candle go out, you boned. It's very like trick or treats, right? Pickpockets and
It's like
fun stuff.
trick or treat meets the purge.
Oh my
Yes, I liked it.
Yeah. I have strong feelings about Lyra because I just ran a game this past weekend. It was
Lyra or Lyra, because they're two different goddesses in Forgotten Realms. If you just want to like, give yourself a migraine immediately.
the trickster goddess.
That's
Which
Lyra.
which
Lyra
now,
is the goddess of joy,
I mean, I feel like they both think they're the goddess of joy.
right? Possibly.
Yeah. But I was running a level 20 game because that's what I do. I play the game on hard mode, and there was the cleric of Lyra.
Lyra.
Dang it!
Sorry.
I told y'all I'm from
You know what?
Arkansas.
You know what?
I'm not
Say it how
even
you want.
supposed to be
I'll-
here. No. Accuracy matters. Accuracy matters. It is important.
I like how
just
I
apparently-
like this is B-Dave show. And he's just like, I'm not supposed to be here today.
Yeah. Apparently, I'm incapable of saying it correctly, but don't worry about that. The trickster goddess was a cleric of hers, and he called upon her with the cleric divine intervention, and I legit was like, how would she even help?
Right?
Because at level 20, like she will, but she's a jerk. So
Do you really want her here?
yeah,
That's actually one of my favorite things, right? She got killed in the time of troubles, actually by Mask when he was in the form of a sword, because everything is bonkers. But then, like everybody seemed to have been like, I've seen a lot of fans be very like salty about this, but also kind of suspicious. And then it turns out like, nah, she wasn't dead. Of course she wasn't dead. And you have to wonder like if you're the clergy of the goddess of lies, and she dies, like, how do you go on? Because you're just gonna be like, okay, but for real,
It's like when any
do we
character
pretend?
dies in a soap opera.
right?
Yeah.
You're like, okay, but later it's gonna not be that, right?
right. Marvel comic rules. Did you just comic book rules? Did you see it? Was there a body? Was there a body, and did it get buried? And even like if there's no body, they're coming back 100%. If it is a body, they're coming back 50%. Yeah. So it's
these two gods have like some strong like Marvel vibe too, because like Mask died. Well, he got in the time of troubles, which is the time. So this is time of troubles is between second and third edition, I think.
yeah.
I remember. And the gods,
Theoretically.
the AO is like, get out! And he kicks all the gods out, and they become mortal, and they have to wander around and find their way back, right?
Mhm.
And Mask turns into a sword called Godsbane, which is a female sword too. I think that's interesting. And lots of people get killed by Godsbane. And it's a sword that works. You have to kill people to energize it. So, and then
Is that not how they all work?
some of them are yeah, sure.
No, that's how
remember what I was
Binwin's
gonna
axes
say.
work.
Sorry, like God's Bane killed
the
lots of
thing-
people. Sorry.
they're some are the thing where they don't need it. They just, I don't remember. Some of them are optional, I guess.
They're
That's
just
the
made
word
of
I'm
metal.
going for.
Yeah.
Listen, it's
right.
still a little early for me.
True.
And then he, in doing that, he loses some of his portfolio to Cyric. And then at the time of the spell plague, Shar sacrifices him. So we start 4th edition and Mask is dead. But then, no, of course he's not dead. Nobody's ever fully dead. So he gets to come back and thwart the cycle of night. He's kind of a popular because he's the god of thieves and shadows and little nuts. But he's, a lot of that is covered in Paulus Kemp's Erebus Kale books, which are quite good. And I know in his last book, The Godborn, that's a big, like, how Mask comes back by splitting his divinity, and God stuff's all weird. It's great, but it's weird. It's
I wonder if, like, during all of this, AO is still just like, you know, like, that's just how AO feels about the whole planets and all. So it's like I had to like dive like way down into all that stuff, which is again, it is a beautiful backdrop. And but I do want to say this one thing though, because this is an idea that I've encountered with a lot of new players to D&D. We're nerding out about this stuff because we love it and been at it a while. You by no means have to know all of this stuff to play the game or run the game or enjoy the game. Like, no, you know, your table is your table. But as you can see, it obviously adds a ton of richness to the backdrop. Of the narrative that you're running.
Especially when you talk about things like gods and cosmology, like that doesn't impact the everyday person. Like there's sort of like, what are the gods actually doing kind of stuff. You can play with that if you want, but it may be something as minor as like, what does worshiping Mask look like to the average person? Is it just like a little kind of, you know, propitiatory thing like, okay, here's some coins, make sure the thieves stay out of my house? Like maybe, or maybe they're just like, that's not my thing at all. These don't have to touch your game really if you don't want them to, but if you want them to, look at these cool tools. Right.
And, you know, you do it how you do it. Like Trevor mentioned, you know, people call Asmodeus assy in his game. For me, Tiamat has turned up a lot in my games. And she ends up kind of being like the master from Doctor Who. Because originally I had her show up as Tiamat, like I'm here to eat all of you. But she showed up as the Dark Lady. So they traveled with her for a little while and they were just really nice to her. And then when it was like, here's the reveal, surprise, I'm Tiamat, they were like, then we're friends with Tiamat, yay! And I had her roll insight and it's like, they're serious. They're not afraid of you and they still like you. And so I just went full Dread Pirate Roberts, where she's like, I'll eat you tomorrow then. It's fine. I got time. You know, and Tiamat like became their friend and traveled with them for a long time.
Adore that. Oh my God.
That's what happened, you know? So it just made sense, you know, contextually, you know. Nice. But I derailed you from Liar's Night when we started talking about She Who Will Not Be Named. So, Halloween meets the Purge. Go on.
Well, I think I've talked mostly about what I know about Liar's Night. I did come up with a goofy Liar's Night game to play.
I like where this is headed. I like where this is headed.
So because it's Liar's Night, we play Two Truths and a Lie.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Style.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
You guys ready? And chat can play too. Okay. So the first set is God-based. So there are many pantheons specific to many different D&D peoples. For example, there is the Gnomish pantheon, which contains more moles than women. Erdlin, the dark crawler, is a blind mole and the god of bloodshed. And the Ladies of the Lost Hills are basically a myth that gnomes use to go adventure to cover the fact they want to go adventuring. Point one. Okay, 2. While many gods demand sacrifices, Sylvanus, the god of wild spaces, is the only one that requires that his sacrifices are always made of things that come out of the forest. They must be broken and then ritually buried. Okay, number 3. The orc goddess Luthic is known for her half-shriveled face and her regrettable affair with the demon lord Gratz, which resulted in the minor demonic orc god of shadows Ungareth. Which one's the lie?
I know, but I know for the wrong reason. So I'm gonna let chat decide. I know because I read your tell. That's why I know.
Ah, dang it!
So
Meanwhile, I'm over here just like, I know some of those words.
Which one would you guess?
I'm
gonna watch my tell. Which one do you think it is, Trevor?
I want to go with the mole one just because it said gnome god pantheons and moles. Like I don't. There shouldn't be more moles than women in their pantheon. There shouldn't be more moles than anything anywhere. To be honest. I mean that's just not good. Does chat have feelings?
Hang on. Lay it on them again, just in case. Lay it on them again.
Lay it on them again. Okay. I have them listed in a certain order. I have to think about which way I read them.
It was moles and then Sylvanas and then the orc god.
Okay. Okay. So there are many pantheons specific to many D&D peoples. For example, there is the Gnomish pantheon, which contains more moles than women. That is Erdlin, the dark crawler, is the god of bloodlust, and the Ladies of the Lost Hills are a myth that young gnomes use to while many gods demand sacrifices. Sylvanas, who is the god of wild spaces, is the only one that requires that his always are made from things that come out of the forest. They must be broken and then ritually buried. The orc goddess Luthic is known for her half-shriveled face and her regrettable affair with the demon lord Gratz, which resulted in the minor demonic orc god of shadows Ungareth.
So again,
what do you think it is?
I'm still pretty sure. It's just solely from your tell, but we're about to find out if I'm right about your tells. But Trevor, this chat, do we have a consensus from chat? I don't actually want to read it because I might pull it up and they're like, clearly in the player's handbook says blah, you know. Yeah, if we have a consensus.
So it looks like Dylan is running a poll. So they're gonna do it.
Is it 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah, chat in 30 seconds is what he said.
All right.
So.
Okay.
In 30 seconds. Hang on. I just want you to know. I'm gonna write here in our chat. Yes.
If you want, we can do a question real quick while we wait for that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
I want you. My hands are back. I've typed my answer. I want you to know when it's time.
Actually, this one we go for Erin. So I'm only a little biased here because this is my co-host Allybug321. She says, talking about pillars of lore. Erin, did you straight up build pillars for Dragonborns to help support it?
Yes, I think that's a good way to put it.
Beautiful.
Part of it to, tell a better novel, and part of it to kind of fill in the gaps, right? So one of the things that I did when I was writing for Wizards was they said, hey, you obviously really care about Dragonborn. Can you make a document that says, like, here's all the things we've said? And I was like, yes. And also, like, here are all the things we said, and here is what's implied by what's said, and here are places where things don't quite line up. Because whenever you have so many people working on something, you'll get discontinuity and what kind of fills in the gaps. So I wrote that up, and then I wrote the novel Ashes of the Tyrant, which is set in Jared Thymar and Timanther, and basically I'm just going to use all of this in here. And they were cool with it. So
beautiful. Before I reveal the answer for you guys, this person answered their own question. It is Einhard Jar 30. I hope I'm saying that right. Sorry about that. Why would anyone worship moles? Oh, right. We're talking about gnomes here. Totally legit and oddly appropriate. And speaking of that, chat chose number 1, so they're agreeing with me. Thank you, chat. This is my first time having a chat.
That's
so you agree with me. I appreciate you.
Okay, and
I chose number 2. That is Sylvanas. Let's see.
All wrong. It is the third one. There is an orc goddess named Luthic. She is the only goddess. I believe she's the only goddess in the pantheon, but I don't remember for sure. She has really long fingernails, not a shriveled face. Far as I know, she and Gratz have never hooked up. And I made up the orc god Ungareth. If that exists, it's a horrible coincidence.
It's a cool name.
It should now. It should now. Like, you must create it. Yes. Also, lots of weird things happened in the time of troubles. Who can say what they did or didn't do?
Right. Sometimes you just, you don't exchange names, and then minor deities show up.
Maybe you were a sword at the time. Like, I don't.
As you do.
As you do.
All right. You guys ready for another one?
Let's do it.
Of course.
All right. This one is holiday based. Okay. On green grass, the first day of spring, herds of unicorns appear to worshippers of Mieliki, the unicorn goddess. Speaking of gods, I don't know how to say the names of. allowing them to ride bareback through the forest until dawn.
That's how you get demigods, for the record.
All right, you guys can run the rest of the show. I'm out of here.
We're done. Thank you for tuning in. There you go. Goodbye.
Okay. Ryestertide commemorates the first prophet of Lathander, the god of the dawn, regaining his sight. Adherents dress in dawn colors, reds and oranges, and cover one eye from sunrise to sunrise. Okay, and on the Feast of the Moon, the Heralds of Faerun, which is sort of like a semi-independent group of historians, kind of like bard harpers, perform the Blood Song, where they recite the genealogies of all the local noble families, reaffirming their authority and status. What's the lie?
Well, for one, Dylan, I don't know if we can do another poll in the chat for this, but B-Dave, what do you think?
Lay it on us one more time.
On Greengrass, the first day of spring, herds of unicorns appear to worshippers of Mialiki, the unicorn goddess, allowing them to ride bareback through the forest until dawn. Ryestertide commemorates the first prophet of Lathander, the god of the dawn, regaining his sight. Adherents dress in dawn colors, reds and oranges, and cover one eye from sunrise to sunrise. On the Feast of the Moon, the Heralds of Faerun perform the Blood Song, where they recite the genealogies of all the local families, reaffirming their authority and status.
See, the problem I'm running into is all of these sound viable in D&D. Oh, and it's freezing again. I'm sorry, Chad.
And like make it a thing. See, the problem is I've changed my vote. Because my original instinct was 3, but that super sounds like something that people would do, especially in a class-based society. I'm gonna say 1.
Okay.
My official vote is 1. The unicorns.
I'm going with 2 only because I love Evelyn and I haven't heard her say anything about this prophet ever, and I feel like I would have at some point. So yeah, I'm gonna go 2. We still got chat going with the poll. So while
there is the poll. Oh, sorry,
yeah.
I would not have. Don't listen to
me.
We
split
chat.
on it, so chat might go the third way and just try
cover the spread.
Yeah.
Cover the spread.
And if they get it, they beat us. So.
Mm-hmm. Which there is an important thing here, chat, while we're talking about this, is we're here to talk and nerd out about lore, but none of us know all of it. No one knows all of it.
And you don't need to, but we can have some fun talking about what we do know.
So which let's super clear. I didn't know these things. I looked them up. so some of them I knew, but mostly I looked them up.
Of course.
Looking for weird things.
Real quick before we reveal the answer, this is in regards to B-Dave talking about the Tiamat reveal. It said, wait, you anti-Fizzbaned it? Yeah?
I'm an agent of chaos. Yes. There you
go. That question came from Brian. God.
Brian Cortijo.
My bad. Yes. I apologize. I apologize in the future for all of the names I will screw up throughout the course of this show. So just be prepared for that. So let's see. Chat is once again agreeing with me, and it is Lathander and the eyes thing.
It is not.
God,
it is. B-Dave is right this time. But here's where I'm maybe a little bit of a jerk. That actually happens at Midsummer.
Oh.
So even though I'm going to take my win, and I am, the reason why I doubted that is I was like, if there was a magical unicorn festival in all my time, I'd have heard about this. So I got to the right place for the wrong reason, but I'm still going to take it because that's been my whole entire life. So I'm like, hey.
The Ryestertide, I believe, and I did not write down all of my notes, but I believe that one also comes from Waterdeep Dragon Heist. So it is also a fairly new thing added into the lore.
Wait.
Maybe a new way that Lathander is celebrating it. So
okay. Wait, Trevor, did you get the first one right?
No, I did not.
Nobody got the first one.
Somebody did. Somebody in chat is like,
yeah,
plebeians. Is there a third one?
There's a third one, and there's a sort of oddball fourth one if we have
tell you what, why don't we just skip to the oddball fourth one? Then maybe we can get some questions in, then we can wrap this show up.
I will tell you the fourth one is the longest one because what happened was I asked Ed Greenwood a question.
Oh,
you know,
please.
Oh, well then, yeah, come. Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
So I actually asked Ed Greenwood because the third one is food-based. And one of the correct answers is giant lasbar moths are fuzzy gray insects the size of doves that gather in the cedar-like lasbar trees native to the high forest. They can be roasted over a fire and eaten salted. I used these in one of my books, Lesser Evils, but I could not find the thing that said you ate them. So I emailed Ed and I said, did I make this up? And he affirmed that no, that's a thing. And then decided to give me a million other weird.
I retract my previous statement that no one knows. Ed actually knows. No one besides Ed knows.
That's a good point. Okay, so these were a little more complex. They're a little more like an adventure hook. So I took two of his, and then I made up one to try and sound like Ed. So I will read them to you, and you try to guess which one is me. All right. There has long been a rumor that some eccentric among the nobles of Waterdeep assembled a collection of small young beholders that are kept in magical stasis, and of course, hidden. The collector died of old age, natural causes, years ago. The tales run, but a younger relative is keeping the collection hidden and crafting schemes about how best to use them for gaining power in Waterdeep, perhaps even rising to rule it without falling under the control of the beholders or just being slain outright by them for having dared to keep them captive and contemplate using them for anything. Where the tales sharply disagree is the identity of the beholder keeper and where and how the beholders are kept captive and hidden. Elminster believes there's truth behind these tales. The Open Lord, Laeral Silverhand, has been visited over the last score full moon nights by 3 ghosts claiming to be the ancestors of the Neverember family, warning her of dastardly schemes burgeoning in the government of Neverwinter. While 2 ghosts match Laeral's long memory of the Neverember family, the third has given her reason to be suspicious that some other entity is trying to affect Waterdeep's already fractious relationship with the Jewel of the North. Laeral has continued to hear the ghosts out, looking for a way to divine the third ghost's true identity and thereby its masters. Okay, and the third one, at least 2 current members of old coin noble families in Waterdeep were long ago slain and are now impersonated by doppelgangers. The current Blackstaff, Vajra Safar, learned this from a dying doppelganger whom she believes was slain for revealing it to her, and its body spirited away so she cannot use magic on it to learn anything more. By the way the conversation unfolded, Vajra believes at least one of the false nobles is elderly and female in their human guise, but beyond that impression, she has no idea who the imposters are or anything they may be planning.
So
which one's fake, Ed?
Good job on doing that because I can't tell. I have nothing. Second thing, I want to run all 3 of those. Chat, if you run one of those, let us know on a future show because those are cool.
Those are excellent adventure hooks.
Right?
Those are excellent adventure hooks.
He sent me like 8.
You know something we should do in the future is we should give adventure hooks for that week's lore too.
Ooh,
you know,
I like it.
That's the thing we should do.
Which one is fake, Ed?
So to recount, you don't have to reread because that was a lot.
That was a lot.
Basically, somebody has caught a lot of beholders. Somebody is being visited by ghosts. Someone knows that there are doppelgangers impersonating important people in Waterdeep.
Yep.
I know, this. You know what? This time, chat should answer first.
Yeah,
because
you know what?
and I. But yeah.
Yeah, I have my answer. I will not change my answer, but I want to know what chat says first. We got a 3-minute poll going right now. So while we wait for that, let's get into some more questions. Jadaresso says incorrect. Chris Perkins knows it all.
True.
That is true.
True. And so let me tell you a Perkins story that I got. I was digging through my old box sets. I keep looking over there because my old 2nd edition box sets are all over there. And I have an issue of Dungeon Magazine, and there's a Planescape article in it. And I took a picture of it and I tweeted it to him. I'm like, Perkins, look at this. It's like an article he wrote like 25 years ago. God. And he replied to me saying, "I bought my first car with the check from that article."
Wow.
Oh, that's so
I was
cool.
like, yeah. So it's crazy to see like that he's got to come all the way up, this whole time. And also I survived being in Avernus in an adventure with him with 1 hit point in the end.
You are one of the few.
Talk about playing the game on hard mode. That's friggin' hard mode. Yeah, okay.
Hazen in the chat asked, "Is Orcus an actual god?"
He's a demon lord.
He's a
no,
demon lord,
he's trying to take over the Shadowfell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Orcus, demon lord, not god.
Warring with the Raven Queen.
Ooh.
Who's he not warring with? I mean, I feel like that's true of every demon lord, though.
True. I mean, he might be an archdevil, you know what I mean? But he is not a god. He wants to be one. Actually, no. There are versions of his story where he does succeed for a time. He has managed to ascend. He just keeps getting knocked back down again. Yeah, he's not. I mean, could you imagine how terrible is that? You go all Jafar. You're like, yay, I did it. Nope, didn't do it.
No, good. Everybody pull you down.
That is true. Orcus is a big old jerk.
We already answered Eric Jordan's thing about what about Ed Greenwood? Does he know it all? He does. Yeah,
my experience with Ed is if you ask him a question, he has the answer, and it's never 100% clear what he's pulled out of the sort of the archives and what he's you know what, this one. So you learn to ask a very specific question.
I was having a conversation with someone on Twitter, and I told them that one of my players had basically blown up a portion of Baldur's Gate, and Ed Greenwood liked it, and I immediately went to that player and said, "Ed Greenwood knows you screwed up. Just want you to know that. He knows what you did,
or he knows you made it bad."
Yeah. We had Ed Greenwood guest on Dungeons Scrawlers, and he's a hoot. I know. I mean, I know Ed from a long time back, but
yeah, I got to play with him. Yeah, I got to play with him for the first time a couple weeks ago in a one shot. Yeah, and it's again, you're like, oh, he is.
I have only gotten to go Notice Me Senpai on Twitter with him. Chat has their answer.
The same place.
Chat, what does chat say?
Yes, what's chat think?
Chat says that Lariel Silverhand's ghosts are the made up one.
Good job, chat.
Hey, I'm wrong. I chose the Beholders just because I thought it was, I don't know.
A deal's a deal. I also chose the Beholders because I was like, the second one is A Christmas Story, and I feel like over these 50 years, D&D has done A Christmas Story. Right? Yeah, I was like, yep, okay. Nope. So. But I got my 1 W.
Yeah.
You got it.
I'll take it.
Well, I mean, overall, you and chat tied. I'm the loser. So y'all beat me. So we're good.
Yeah.
And we all lied. So we honored Mask and Lara, and we're safe.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
That unfortunately is going to bring it time to an end for lore. Aaron and B Dave, where can people find you, and what awesome things are you working on?
I would just like to say, between the two of us, I think we're capable of just declaring that things are a certain way. We could just will it into existence.
Just be the champions of canon.
They're like,
no, don't do that.
Or no.
Yeah. Ladies first, please.
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M. Evans. Currently, I am playing Cecilia in the Westgate Irregulars show for Dungeons Scrawlers. That's 6:30 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays. We are just gearing up for our Extra Life game day, so check that out. Donate to some wonderful causes. I am sending money to Seattle Children's Hospital, which treats my son. So yes, that is what I got going on right now.
B. Dave Walters, I say words about things. I'm doing something 7 days a week. Don't try and keep up with it all. I barely can, and I'm there for all of it. But let's see, at least for the D&D related things. Tuesdays, I play Freely, the luckiest boy, on Silver and Steel at 6 Pacific. Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, I play Gotten on Ascension on Roll For It. Thursday nights, Dungeons and Dragons: A Darken Wish Season 3 is coming back soon. We're about to get back into the studio. Seasons 1 and 2 are on YouTube. That is on the official D&D YouTube, and will be on the official D&D Twitch. run a metric ton of Patreon games. So if you need a campaign, holler at me. And I think at least for the D&D related stuff, that is it, at least until next week. And hey, you know what? Tweet us, add us if there's something you would like us to talk about. You know, in the intervening time.
I might try. This is gonna be a surprise, but I might try and get like some kind of email set up so we can get some like topics or questions in there. But you can also add us on Twitter at the Idle Champions account.
Oh, here's an adventure hook. You meet Ezmerelda. She refuses to learn anyone's name, nicknames all your players, and needs help getting back a lost relic to defeat Strahd von Zarek.
There you go. There you go. There is your first weekly adventure hook. You can find me on the Difficulty Class podcast. It posts every Friday. And you can find me on Twitter at the Treavor. There's an A in there somewhere. If you're a listener, it'll be a surprise where. I want to thank Jay for moderating in the chat. Also, moderate first time having moderator. Jay, you're awesome. You did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for what you did. And I also want to thank Codename Entertainment for letting us come here and talk about D&D and hopefully make some sense out of it at some point and entertain you for things and stuff. If you are live with us right now, be sure to come back at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Improvised Champions. And if you're listening to us later, we'd love for you to be with us in chat next week. It will always be at 11 a.m. on Mondays, and we're going to do this for a period of time and see how it goes. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching and listening. Champions out.
We out.